time for my overall thoughts slash city reviews of our Japan trip. So first of all, the breakdown of our trip, we did 3 nights Osaka, 6 nights Kyoto, 1 night Hakone, which originally was not in the itinerary, but we changed that last minute. So we took a night off of Tokyo, added a night to Hakone, which was a mistake, and then ended up with 4 nights in Tokyo. Starting with Osaka, honestly, I think it's skippable. It had a very business vibe to it, more of a livable city. There was a very touristy neon street that was fun, but overall, not super exciting to visit. The food was actually our least favorite in Osaka than it was the entire trip. Overall, kind of felt like it was like Dallas, cool place to live, not the best place to visit. If I could go back, I would have taken Osaka off. Part of the reason why we did add Osaka is there's Universal Studios Osaka with Harry Potter World. And as you know, I'm a huge Harry Potter fan, so that was a must. If I could change it, I would have just spent that night in Kyoto and taken the 20-30 minute train from Kyoto to Universal Studios Osaka instead. So Osaka, I think we would skip it next time. And if I could go back, I would take it off the itinerary. Kyoto, we spent 6 nights there. Originally, I thought 6 nights might be too long. Absolutely not. Kyoto was by far our favorite, very much the cultural city of Japan. Unlike Osaka and Tokyo, where very much bombed out in World War II, built up with skyscrapers, very modern, Kyoto was not bombed in World War II. So you see a lot of the original 2-story wooden houses, very picturesque, teeny tiny alleyways, lots of atmosphere, lots of culture. It's the city of 1,000 temples. So there's a lot of Buddhist temples, tons of shrines. So overall, you just get a very cultural feeling when you're in the city. 6 nights, I'm glad we had 6 nights because we had to make use of as many early mornings as possible. We learned very quickly that the afternoons get insanely crowded. We learned from our tour guide that Kyoto is extremely popular with very large Chinese tour groups, as well as school groups. And unfortunately, one of the most picturesque areas, there's a massive tour bus parking lot right there. So I mean, in the afternoon, the street would be shoulder to shoulder tourists. It was insane. And the temples around that area, packed, awful, so loud, no zen at all there. But then it'd be funny because you go to a different area in Kyoto and it'd be very quiet, and the temples you visited were, again, very quiet, very empty. So anyway, we employed what I call my Venice strategy, which is we would get up at 5:30 a.m., have a good, 2.5 hours to explore the busy areas while they were empty. Completely different experience in the morning than in the afternoon. And again, I don't think we would have enjoyed Kyoto as much if we didn't have a lot of mornings to make use of. Day trips from Kyoto, we did a day trip to Nara. Loved it. That's where the bowing deer were. Very easy. The trains are very easy in Japan. There has also, on that note, a lot of English has been added to a lot of the ticket machines and stuff since Japan had hosted the Olympics. So it wasn't too terrible trying to figure out how to get around. Not as easy as Europe, but for someone that knows 0 Japanese, we were fine. So Kyoto, we want to go back. I would love to go back in later fall, even winter. Great experience, great food, great people. Loved it. So then Hakone, we should have skipped that. So Hakone is where you can see Mount Fuji, and it's known for its onsens, those natural mineral hot springs. Mount Fuji was in the clouds the whole time, which I guess is normal. So 1, that was a miss. We couldn't even see Mount Fuji. 2, it felt really touristy. And the nice ryoikans, like the traditional Japanese inns you can stay in, are very expensive. So if you're not willing to spend a lot of money on your accommodations, I mean, it's slim pickings on where you're gonna stay, and it's just kind of Same thing with restaurants, very blah, very touristy. Also, it wasn't super easy to get around. You have to buy a pretty expensive Hakone travel pass that includes like the cable cars and the buses and all that. But if you veered off that tourist circuit, you were hard pressed to find a way to get back to your hotel. So Hakone, wish we wouldn't have done it. Felt like it was money and time wasted. So then moving on to Tokyo. Tokyo exceeded expectations. So first of all, it's multiple times the size of New York City, yet doesn't feel anything like New York City. For the most part, it's quiet, it's organized, it's so clean, the people are so polite there. You never feel like you're getting jostled around. There's never any honking cabs at you trying to run you over. Overall, great experience. I would never live in New York. I would probably live in Tokyo. Also with Tokyo, a good explanation is it's more like multiple cities together versus one big city. So you kind of spend your days focusing on like this city in Tokyo and that city, Shinjuku, Shibuya, whatever. So there were a couple cities within Tokyo that were very busy, like the Shibuya crossing. But for the most part, a lot of the areas we visited felt pretty quiet. Nothing like New York City at all. Food scene, bar scene, incredible in Tokyo. And I'm talking cocktail bars where they're teeny, teeny, tiny and very craft cocktails, great experience. Just loved it. Also, never thought I would say this in my life because I'm not a huge Disney person, but we did do a day at Tokyo Disneyland, Tokyo Disney Sea. Disney Sea blew both Jake and I out of the water. And even Jake was very impressed and said he would go back in a heartbeat, and he is not into theme parks. Definitely prefer Disney Sea to Disneyland. It was less crowded. Also, Disney Sea, the whole concept, it's like different ports that you're going to. So there's Venice and there's Arabia or Morocco. There's the Mermaid Lagoon, there's France, and you get there and it feels like you're in Venice. Like for those of you that saw my Instagram post where I had posted a picture in Disney Sea, Venice, and said, oh, arrived in Venice, most of you thought that Jake and I had done a detour. So I mean, it really, really did look like Venice. And just overall, loved it. Highly recommend if you're going to Tokyo, fit in at least Disney Sea. But overall thoughts on Japan, it exceeded both Jake and I's expectations. The people were so friendly. The cities were so clean. The food was amazing. It's a good time to visit right now because of the exchange rate between the dollar and the yen. So this trip cost us a fraction of what it normally would cost us. We will be back. I originally thought this would be a one and done, trip to Japan. After this trip, we will go back multiple times. Want to visit at different seasons, want to go to some different areas now. Overall, highly recommend, and I think now is a great time to go.